If you didn't tune into Checkered Flag last week, you not only missed the premier show, but a lot of excitement and action as well. We traveled to Silverstone, England to witness the making of a grand race. Catherine Teasdale put the king of the road, the brand new Chevy Corvette, through its paces. We met one of the world's top sports car champions, Derek Bell, and we witnessed firsthand the making of a world record.
This week on Checkered Flag, we'll take you to Sweden to experience one of the most dangerous and deadly sports in the world, motorcycle ice racing. You'll be on the edge of your seat as these powerful machines race on sheer ice at speeds over 70 miles per hour. You'll take a trip to the past to experience the history and majesty of some of the world's most hidden treasures. On this week's World Record Salute, you'll meet the most decorated man in history, Raymond Zebulon Monroe. On the Shell Inside Track, you'll find out what goes into the making of a world endurance car. Our montage this week will feature the exciting world of rally racing. Checkered Flag will also take you to where the bright lights shine to meet some of the celebrities of film and television that will be featured in upcoming programs. Fasten your seatbelt. Get ready for some of the best entertainment and excitement anywhere on this week's edition of Checkered Flag.
It's time now for our weekly Wittenauer quiz. In 1987, Francis Alain Prost tied the world record for Grand Prix wins in a career. Name the driver who held the record previously. Was it A, Jackie Stewart, B, Jim Clark, or C, Parnelli Jones? Stay tuned for the answer at the end of the show. Racing on land or water is dangerous, period. But by far the deadliest of man's quest for speed is motorcycle racing. On a solid track of ice, it is sheer madness. Stockholm, Sweden. It's the home of world-class motorcycle racing. And contending for a spot in the World Quarterfinal Championship are teams from Sweden, Finland, Austria, West Germany, and the Soviet Union. Sport or madness, whichever, it will take the competitors through 4 miles of insanity, temperatures of -20 Celsius. These are blizzard conditions. And the drivers must be, they have to be in top physical and mental condition to even think about competing. You take this one step at a time. Tough, cold, fast, and most of all, dangerous. These are no ordinary machines either. See those needles? Up to 150 of them. They give the driver 100% traction. But they can cut like a chainsaw. One mistake, a false move, and it's the difference between life and death. The Russians dominate this race. World champion Vladimir Sukov has a long list of title wins. Erik Stena of Sweden is also looking to grab a checkered flag here. He won the championship back in 1984 in Moscow in front of 55,000 spectators. Preparation for this type of racing is endless, hours stretching into days to make sure to be positive that the bikes are in the same condition as the drivers. The speeds top 70 miles an hour in qualifying. Not fast? Look at the conditions. And that 70 miles an hour is a constant. They don't slow down for the corners. Track conditions don't get worse. The temperature could freeze your lungs. The Swede Erik Stena uses every skill he can find to beat Vladimir Sukov to win this heat. Strength and endurance square off for the World Quarterfinal Championship. Sukov and Stena, like A.J. Foyt and Mario Andretti, have been battling each other for a decade. The Russians have won 8 times, the Swedes twice. In the future, a North American invasion of American and Canadian drivers. And no secrets here. Even the champ is willing to thaw this Cold War, to open this dangerous sport and make it truly international. Madness? Of course. Danger? It doesn't tell the story. And it's growing across Europe, and it's moving into Canada and the United States. The Russians dominate this sport, but North American know-how and technology might change all that. The weather conditions won't drive the fans away from one of the world's deadliest sports, racing on ice. Timeless Treasures takes you back to an era where beauty and elegance reigned supreme.
If you ever find yourself lucky enough to be strolling down a typical English lane, you're sure to appreciate the many old stone-built manor homes like this one. But the real history, and certainly the mystery of this era, can be found inside. No, we're not talking about ghosts haunting the medieval towers or skeletons in the wine cellar, but we are talking about treasures, remnants of the past captured by this most intriguing collection of antique cars. Our host and guide through time is David Johnson, a man who knows as much about these impressive relics as the original owners.
The Fiat Landaulet, you will see, was built in 1913. It was a very successful model, and many were used in the First War. The Lagonda, which is probably the pride of my collection, built in 1934, when Lagonda were in difficulties, but was supplied by the company to their main concessionaires who plotted it with 2 other cars. And my car was raced in the TT races of 34 and 35, and was raced at Le Mans, where it won the Grand Prix. I have the very pretty little Daimler, 1934 Daimler Light 15.
Not only do David's cars have a history-rich background, but they also have an exciting present-day acting career as well.
And of course there's the 1914 Moors, and we use that in Brideshead Revisited, and it was driven by Anthony Andrews and Jeremy Irons, and was a starring car for that series. My Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost was used in that, and it was the family car at Castle Howard, which doubled for Brideshead.
Between hiring out his cars to the film industry, channel hopping to car auctions, and a career in real estate consulting, we asked David how he found the time to maintain his motoring menagerie.
Arthur Bass came to work for my father in Bletchley Market. He has worked on the cars, and he's very methodical, and he keeps them going, and he works out what's wrong with them, makes them run well.
David and Arthur form their own winning team. But like any avid collector, there's still that one golden prize to go after.
I think the car I'd like more than anything else is what we call a Grand Routier, a car of the late 30s or early 40s. Something like a Delahaye or a Largo Talbot. To get a really good one, you're talking about £100,000. which is more than we've done. You can justify the fact.
On this week's Shell Inside Track, we examine the making of one of the world's finest race cars.
This is the Porsche 962C endurance car thundering around the Grand Prix circuit at Silverstone. Now, we know that many of you racing fans would love to own one of these 800 horsepower beauties, so this week, Checkered Flag will show you how to build one from scratch. We start with the heart of the car, a light but strong aluminum shell called the monocoque. Fully loaded, it will house some pretty sophisticated instrumentation. Next, for muscle, strap in a 6-cylinder, horizontally opposed 3-liter power plant, complete with turbo boost for those jumps to lightning speed. To combat the heavy downforce and negotiate the corners, you'll need a durable suspension and reliable brakes, complete with their own cooling system. Better keep your checkbook handy for the aerodynamic wind tunnel tests and special carbon Kevlar body material. Now this machine is starting to take shape. Don't forget the custom mag wheels and racing slicks. Add the rear cowling and tail wing to complete the 240-mile-per-hour monster. But let's take a closer look at the whistles and bells that your money buys. You may have the speed, but you're going to have to gauge fuel efficiency by adjusting turbo boost and monitoring the consumption meter. If you're running low, however, you can quickly switch to reserve tanks between refills. Of course, no Group C car would be complete without some standard equipment. Altogether, not bad for under $500,000. Unfortunately, you can only drive your new sports car on one of 4 or 5 racetracks, like this one. Happy motoring!
On this week's World Record Salute, you'll travel to the home of a man whose life story reads like an Ian Fleming novel.
Meet Zebulon Monroe, known as the most decorated man in the world. It would be an understatement to suggest that his real-life adventures would be magic for the exciting silver screen. As captured by his best-selling autobiography, The Sky's No Limit, Zebulon's spine-chilling escapades have taken him as far as war-torn Europe, to the Arctic Circle, and have allowed him to rub shoulders with Hollywood's most glamorous movie stars, as well as report on the underworld's most infamous crime bosses. For magnificent acts of courage and audacity in the face of extreme hardship and danger, Zebulon Monroe has received over 400 honors, including 100 honorary citizenships, 19 life-saving presentations, the Order of Canada, 61 FA1 aviation records, as well as numerous other orders, decorations, and medals. Pitting his very life against terrifying odds and subhuman weather conditions, death-defying Zebulon Monroe became the first man ever to parachute onto the North Pole. Befriending fear and conquering terror, Zebulon mastered the elements and set a new world record, just one of many that would etch his name into world record history books. Breaking and setting world records became a habit for Zebulon, but unlike most people, he didn't do it for the thrill of competition or the exhilarating challenge of being number one.
I have never felt that I had to be the first or had to be the best. It was always a personal challenge with me.
The average person would say ballooning seems like a harmless, relaxing type of recreation, and it is, but only when looking from the ground up. Experts, however, will tell you just how complex and dangerous this sport really is. Defying the elements and mastering the temperamental nature of ballooning, Zebulon was the first man to successfully cross the Irish Sea in a hot air balloon.
The longest flight, successful flight of a balloon across water at that time. And it had been tried for 150 years, and everybody failed.
To most people, just one medal would be the thrill of a lifetime. But to a maverick like Zebulon Monroe, all the medals, honors, and decorations don't impress him at all. He views his life's adventures and challenges in a very simple light.
I think life's meant to be lived, not to be, as they say, not to just watch. I think you have to be a participant to get the most out of it. Everyone has their own philosophy. I don't have any. I just get up in the morning and try and ride each day into the ground at full gallop.
Checkered Flag is proud to present our bird's eye view of Zebulon Monroe on this week's World Record Salute.
Can money and fame buy happiness? Well, maybe. But if you're looking for that little extra in life, you might want to join our list of celebrities on this edition of Bright Lights.
When you think of fans of racing, the first thing that may come to mind is the working class hero, out for a good time and a little excitement. But the racing circuit is attracting a different type of fan these days. The rich and famous, who have traditionally been associated with glamorous lifestyles, high-priced toys, and vacation playgrounds that would leave the average person wide-eyed and wanting, are turning to something different. The danger and excitement of racing has become an enticing element to pastimes of some of the world's most famous faces. Whether you're talking about the filmmaking industry, music business, sports, or just the downright rich, auto racing has become an attractive sideline for many high-profile celebrities. Famous musicians like George Harrison, Bryan Adams, Christopher Cross, and the band Hot Chocolate. It's a sport that's catching the eye of people who seem to have it all. When you look at the film industry, one of the most notable names involved on and off the track is a man who has not only proved himself to be one of today's greatest actor-directors, but also a guy who's pretty good behind the wheel of a race car.
He's not an actor who went racing.
No, he's just a good racer in general. He can really drive a car.
He's really a great driver.
We're talking, of course, about Paul Newman, an actor who has been racing sports cars for the past 15 years and also sponsors an IndyCar team whose main driver is racing legend Mario Andretti. But why would someone who has it all get into one of the most dangerous and expensive sports?
You see it with the Oscars. People vote. They say him or her. In this, it isn't we vote and it's him and her. It's either him or her. I mean, you either cross the finish line first, and there's no equivocating with it. So it's a very, very precise thing that you're doing as compared with acting, which is very amorphous and hard to gauge.
If it's not enough that Newman puts his own reputation and bankroll on the line for established professional teams, he also has sponsored young up-and-coming drivers like Lou Rettenmeyer.
I thought he was an extremely gifted driver, and he just simply didn't have financing. So when he told me he wanted to run the Super V Series, I thought, why not?
Paul Newman is one of many celebrities attracted to auto racing. Here is just a small list of others geared to high speed. This is only a preview of what Checkered Flag will bring you on Bright Lights. Stay tuned for more in-depth profiles of some of the world's brightest stars in entertainment, sports, and high finance. Coming soon to a television near you.
Now for the answer to this week's quiz. The question, in 1987, France's Alain Prost tied the world record for Grand Prix wins in a career. Name the driver who held this record previously. If you answered A, you're absolutely right. Jackie Stewart. Great Britain's Jackie Stewart won 27 Grand Prix victories in his career between the 12th of September, 1965 and the 5th of August, 1973.
It's time now for the National Update. We'll be looking at our National Series and top drivers. We'll also provide updated results from Canadian races. Ross Peterson of Medicine Hat is the Canadian Supercross champion for the 7th consecutive time. The 26-year-old Suzuki rider clinched the title on June the 4th at Exhibition Stadium in Toronto. And speaking of the Toronto Supercross, a record crowd of more than 45,000 saw a new star in action as 15-year-old Damon Bradshaw of Charlotte, North Carolina won the race. Ruben McMurder of London is the hottest rider in Canadian motorcycle road racing. The Rothmans Honda racer has won all 3 of his starts. He began the season with a win at Victoria Day Sprints at Mosport Park. Other wins came in the Pro Superbike and Pro 750 production classes of the National Championships at San Air International Raceway. In auto racing, Alberta driver Ken Staples leads the Honda Michelin Challenge West Series. He was 4th in round 1, but captured round 2 at Race City Speedway in Calgary. Tim Power of Vancouver leads the B class for pre-1988 Hondas after 2 straight victories. A broken suspension knocked Toronto driver Paul Tracy out of round 2 of the American Racing Series on June the 4th in Milwaukee. He won the season opener at Phoenix. And Detroit stock car driver Harold Fair won the American Speed Association 200-lapper at Cayuga International Speedway last Sunday. And now for a look at one of Canada's top racers. Richard Spenard has dominated Canadian racing for the past 2 seasons. He won an incredible 19 times in 39 races, taking the Players' Challenge and Formula 2000 titles in 1986 and added the Rothmans Porsche crown in 1987. He was also a member of the Rothmans Porsche entry in last year's 24 Hours of Le Mans.
I'm hoping to win a championship. I'm hoping to win as many races as I can, but I'm also very aware that the competition will be there. Ron Fallow, Robin Buck.
Spenard has won 9 different championships in 15 years of racing. This season, Canada's winningest driver is seeking the Players GM Series and the Rothmans Porsche Turbo Cup titles. And now for the GM Motorsport Racing calendar. World Championship Formula One action returns to Montreal on Sunday in the Molson Grand Prix of Canada. McLaren Honda has won all 4 races in 1988. Alain Prost will be looking for his 4th win, while teammate Ayrton Senna goes after win number 2 and his 5th straight pole. Randy McDonald tries for win number 2 in the Players GM East race in Montreal, while Bill Clubine seeks his 2nd victory on the Honda Michelin Eastern Circuit. And the Niagara Falls Grand Prix has been postponed till June the 25th.
Next week on Checkered Flag, our cameras will take you on a tour of world endurance racing. On our World Record Salute, we'll introduce you to the man who holds the world land speed record, and you'll relive the astonishing feat of being the fastest man on land. You'll meet Nick Mason from Pink Floyd. He'll talk about the other love in his life, auto racing. On our next car check, Catherine Teasdale will profile the 300ZX. We'll take a humorous look at the wacky world of monster trucks as they bash and crash themselves and anyone else who comes along. At a time when fuel consumption remains a major concern, we'll take you to a competition where you'll get more than your money's worth on just a few drops of gas. So sit tight, keep your energy level up for excitement, speed, and entertainment next week on Checkered Flag.
In Canada, the cast and crew of Checkered Flag stay at Holiday Commonwealth Inns, a collection, not just a chain.
All the things we want, we ever win.